It's easy to imagine the snake as an aggressor, the snake in the grass, a deadly foe. But why does this image send a shiver of fear down our spines? In shape and movement, they are so different from us that legend and folklore have given them a sinister reputation they don't really deserve. How can we understand an animal that smells with its tongue? Or that hears with its whole body, sensing vibrations? The hypnotic stare of its unblinking eye can seem as alien as its apparent rebirth through the shedding of its skin, sloughed off like a scaly ghost of itself. Among them are giants that storybooks say are 100 feet long and ready to strangle unwary jungle explorers. And yet, there is this little guy, a thread snake, very friendly and not deadly at all. There is even beauty and grace in some as they go upon their bellies, silently through the trees. But where did snakes come from? An animal that looked much like some other reptiles alive today. It's hard to believe that snakes have anything in common with creatures like this. But in fact, every reptile descended from the same ancestor. This primitive ancestor, hidden within their bodies, vestiges remain of the legs they lost. But snakes, with a skull, backbone, and a multitude of ribs, are able to move quickly in several ways. The serpentine crawl of the cobra. Most snakes move like this. The movement creates little ridges in the ground, which the snake pushes against to propel itself forward. When you're short and fat like this puff adder, throwing cobra-style loops is impossible. Instead, the muscles act on the ribs. As the ribs move, the snake's scales grab hold of the ground, and with a series of rhythmical contractions, the snake rows along in the sand. The famous sidewinder favors the serpentine wave, and like the cobra, it can push itself against the ridges it nudges up in the sand. By moving sideways, it needs only 2 points of contact on the very hot sand. At any one time, most of its body is held in the air. Legs? Who needs them? There are different problems for a tree-climbing python in a rainforest. To reach across a gap, it can stiffen sections of its body, becoming its own ladder from branch to branch. This sinuous and flattened body, with its broad tail working like an oar, could be mistaken for an eel. But this is no fish. It's a sea snake. Most snakes can swim, though even the sea snake must interrupt its hunting now and then for a breath of air at the surface. As hunters, in water or on land, snakes are silent and efficient killers. A rattlesnake has more than its bite to work with. Its tongue constantly tastes the air, scenting for prey. Its body senses ground vibrations, even the footsteps of a mouse. Standing still is no defense. The rattler is also able to sense body heat. Infrared heat, detected by sensory pits on each side of the face, pinpoints the prey. Their high-tech weaponry has been around long before ours. But in any combat situation, defense is as important as attack. This military training ground is home to two other opponents. The rare red cockaded woodpecker lives in this loblolly pine. Its enemy is a corn snake, whose tactics are to climb the tree and steal the woodpecker's chicks. The bird's defense is to peck at the tree, releasing its resin. But how can resin repel this relentless invader? It's getting close. Will the woodpecker's weapon really work? The resin goes into action. Seeping between the scales, it irritates the snake's skin. Woodpeckers won, corn snakes nothing. Australia, home to the most venomous snakes in the world. In these cane fields lives one of the most deadly. But why do snakes need venom? This inland taipan is hunting rats. The cane fields are alive with them. But they are dangerous prey. Rats can bite back. A snake's head contains all its sensory equipment: eyes, taste, smell, brain. And the head is vulnerable. It bites and retreats immediately. The head is undamaged, and the venom is doing its work. The rat is now paralyzed. The snake can safely approach its prey. Venom gives the snake two huge advantages.
This has saved my life.
Snakes and humans share the world uneasily. This spectacled cobra is common in the paddy fields of India. Every year, more than 10,000 people are killed here by snakebite. Antivenom is unavailable. For the same reason, snakebite is a major killer across Central and South America, Africa, and Southeast Asia. It's hard to arrive at an exact number, but at the lowest estimate, 50,000 people die each year.
Maybe even get out from where the door was plugged out there. It could have pushed past there. But I think we just maybe should carry on looking. You know, it could also have climbed. I mean, these walls are pretty rough up here. I could take a look somewhere up here. Nothing there. Well, whoops. There's something up there. There's something in the corner over there. Yeah. Okay, without a doubt, that's a mamba. It's a black mamba. There's a piece of coil just around between the roof and the wall there. We know that mambas are very, very poisonous. I mean, if this bites us, we're quite far from a hospital now. So we've got to be really, really careful. And if you can just stay in the furthest corner away from me there, just out of my way, I'm going to bring it down and just get it straight past you outside and then deal with it, get it into the bag. Okay, it's trying to edge away from me there. It heads out again. Yep. It's opening up its black mouth at me, it's warning me. You know, it's interesting that the snake doesn't just come out attacking, but at this stage, having it like this, it obviously feels threatened. At this stage, it'll bite whatever comes near to its mouth. And that's, it's a big snake, it's bigger than I thought. It's a long animal. Just watch it behind me there. Please don't just come any closer than that. You know, the snake's obviously hiked up now, and whatever touches it through the bag, it's going to bite. And you can see through the bag here. I'm going to just pin it down to the side, make sure that it's safe in one area, and then I'm going to release the head. Just take care that don't come too close. Now, you touch that bag and this thing bites. I'm going to find a safe place to release it. Let's get it in there. And I think I should go and reassure the lady here that her house is clear of snakes and that it's safe to go back in again.
Housewives in India are troubled by snakes as well. The men of Vrindavan have also made a profession out of removing them. He's not going to let this cobra go free. For hundreds of years, this has been a village of snake charmers. The snake is captivated by the swaying pipe, following every rocking movement. And that's the snake charmer's secret. The music plays no part. It's probably too high a frequency for the snake to appreciate. It has no eardrums. Sound vibrations are perceived only by way of the skin, muscle, and bone. Bites are a routine hazard for charmers, but they have a special snake stone, which they believe can magically draw venom from the wound. Survival is most likely to depend on the snake only biting in defense, using little or no venom. Also, the victim himself may have received many mild bites in his lifetime and developed some immunity. But the piece of soapstone is the treatment they believe in. This baby cobra in Africa is one snake that no snake charmer would ever use. It threatens the civet cat by standing tall and looking big. But it has another weapon. This is a spitting cobra, and it sprays venom, which irritates the eyes of the attacker. It's not lethal, but it works. South America, the Llanos of Venezuela, the wetland home of the largest snake in the world, the anaconda. This giant has no venom at all. To capture prey, it relies on muscle power, coiling around its victim and squeezing the breath out of it. And a large snake needs large prey. The biggest rodent in the world fits the role. A capybara, the size of a pig, is fairly easy to ambush as it bathes in the warm waters. The snake must have teeth strong enough to hold on to such lively prey, and be ready to loop its body tightly around the capybara to avoid... The anaconda, the most powerful of constrictors, moves in.
Look out, Jimmy. Hold that head, hold it. Mike hears Jimmy's cries for help. Jim is black in the face, almost done for.
To be safe, the actor needed to know exactly how a large constrictor kills, just as Donald Stridham does.
I caught the snake on somebody's farm. It had eaten something really large, and the farmer was worried it's going to eat his dogs or even maybe his children, which isn't totally unrealistical. Have a look at that. Yeah, it's getting me around the arm here. I can really feel it. You get this area here. I mean, you can see how it's stopping the blood supply there. And this is my arm, so I mean, I can handle it. I can wrap it off me here. But can you imagine that around somebody's neck? I mean, that's pretty tight over here. This movie that we watched, we've just seen it with this Jimmy, where it had wrapped around him. It wasn't totally wrapped around his neck, not like the way this has got me around the arm here. With Jimmy, I could literally see that he turned around to get this python around his body, and it wasn't a natural constricting pose. Whereas this snake has got me. I mean, look at that. My arm's going quite red there. You're going to have to try and make a plan here. It really got me. One thing I got right in the movie was that the python, like many other non-venomous snakes, are ambush animals. They will lie in ambush for their prey. It'll lie there, wait for the animal to come past, strike at it, bite it, and hook it with those 100 needle-sharp teeth. It then throws coils around this animal while it pulls the animal into the coils. It then asphyxiates the animal. Every time it breathes out, it tightens more and more, and the animal dies of suffocation. If one looks into the mouth of this python, you can see a little circular tube, and that is the extension of its epiglottis. And it's very useful for a snake to have this, because what happens is, when it swallows, that'll extend right out of the mouth, and so it can still breathe while it's got a full mouth of antelope. I think the snake deserves to be released now, so not to stress it too much, I'm going to release it here in the bush. And this looks ideal here. And as soon as I let the head go, that's it, I can feel the coils have immediately relaxed on me there. And the snake just wants to get away, straight into the bush there. Wow, look at that arm. This arm's gone really quite red there. What a relief to have that off. This is great. I love letting snakes go back into the bush. It's such a nice feeling. You can do something for them as well. It's a nice feeling for me, and hopefully for the snake.
Back in anaconda country, there's someone who's trying to do good, not only constrict their prey, but are also venomous.
I've got the tiger snake's favorite prey. It is a striped skink. Now I'm going to bring it in closer, and you're going to notice that the tiger snake will bite and poison its prey, also wrap around it to constrict and kill. Now this is of course a dead skink, so I'm going to move it around so that the snake thinks that it's alive.
The tiger snake's venom is weak, so it needs to grip the lizard firmly, not only to prevent escape, but to limit the risk of damage to itself during a struggle. Even more remarkable is an African egg-eating snake's ability to get its mouth around an egg. All snakes can eat meals bigger than their heads. They simply open very wide, and then ligaments allow the lower jaw to expand. Still, the egg cannot be crushed until it reaches special bones in the spine, which can pierce the shell. For convenience, a snake does better to eat another snake. A king cobra is called king because it's a snake eater. The mangrove snake it's attacking is only mildly venomous. No match for the king. It's not easy for the king to judge exactly how long this meal is. But since the king is the largest venomous snake in the world, chances are the victim's tail will be reached easily and swallowed. It's good to be the king. So how would a snake avoid this fate? One way would be to play dead. This eastern hog-nosed snake is giving his best performance. Its play acting must convince a threatening indigo snake. There is an interesting moment of standoff, but the actor has another defensive card to play. A gland in its tail emits a smell of death to go with the gaping mouth. It's the performance of a lifetime, and the enemy is fooled. A snake that looks dangerous can keep predators away. Red next to yellow will kill a fella is a useful rhyme about a coral snake. It is venomous. Red next to black is a friend of Jack is true for a milk snake. It mimics warning colors and only pretends to be dangerous. A pretend head keeps the real head of a Calabar ground python safe. The real head has a tongue that gives it away, but the deception can be good enough to cause a predator to attack the tail by mistake, and a tail is not a vital organ. Often the brilliant colors and patterns of a snake's skin are not a warning but a subtle camouflage, matching its surroundings. And to us, it can look beautiful. Scales come in endless varieties of shape and structure. In the wild, snakes are not easily seen, a useful quality which suits these masters of ambush perfectly. But the beauty and subtlety of snakeskin has also been their undoing for thousands of years. Fire is traditionally used by hunters in Cameroon to expose the hiding places of aggressive rock pythons. Entering an aardvark burrow to retrieve so vicious a snake is a risk few men will undertake. Once, this nightmare task was a test of virility, a rite of passage. Crawling inch by inch on toes and fingers, the hunter moves toward the angry python. His companions keep track of his progress. They may have to rescue him. The heat is stifling. The hunter must squirm back through dust and biting ants, dragging 100 pounds of python. His companions take over. These are the last of the python hunters left in Cameroon. Firearms have made it easier to kill other animals for food and skins. But the meat on this snake in former times would have been essential, and its skin a profitable result from such horrific effort. As any snake grows, it must shed its outer skin like an overtight suit. The new scales revealed are at their best. The cast-off skin is discarded, and with it also go a third of the country's crops was devastated by the rodents. Only the return of natural predators, such as pythons, could save the farmers' livelihoods. The government's official snake repatriator is Dr. Nguyen. He's bringing snakes to the village where he was born. And he knows how important it is that children, as well as the farmers, realize how essential these harmless snakes are to their future. Each python released can potentially eat about 100 rats a year. Dr. Nguyen will release 20, among them females, that could each have 20 to 80 baby pythons a year. In the battle against rats, each snake in a paddy field is worth far more than those that are sold to be eaten. The snakes in our world can be partners in our survival. We're learning more about them all the time. But there's always a new twist.
Well, sometimes when the snakes shed, it's not a complete shed, and we have to help it. And in this case, the top scale wasn't quite off, and I think I can get it. Now he's all done.
A snake with two heads. Something went wrong in the egg. Such creatures are not uncommon. Only one head can feed, but this ring-necked snake will survive happily.
It's very interesting how attached people get or not get to their reptilian pets. Most people think that how can you get attached to a snake or a lizard as compared to a fluffy kitten or a cat or dog? But in a way, you really do get attached to these animals, partly because
must be waved.
One native reptile that is taken to urbanized areas well is the northern brown snake. Typically found under leaves, logs, and other forms of ground cover, brown snakes are usually the most common snake in your residential areas on the east coast of the United States. Because of their small size, usually between 6 and 13 inches, they often go unnoticed as they actively hunt for worms and slugs among the leaf litter. Northern brown snakes are non-venomous and considered harmless to humans. Discover brown snakes and more at Potomac Overlook Regional Park in Arlington, Virginia.